In this video of the Historic Ordnance series, we're going to be looking at formerly Soviet, now Russian, RPG-22 disposable light anti-tank weapon. Now, this weapon was designed as a replacement for the RPG-18, which came out in the 1960s, which was a Soviet knockoff of the American M72 Law. Now, the RPG-22, from what I was able to find out, it went into design in the late 1970s. By 1984, they had the initial runs ready, sent to Afghanistan, issued to airborne troops for testing in the field. It worked there extremely well. By 1985, the Soviet government adopted them as an official piece of ordnance and replacement for the RPG-18. However, by 1993, the Russian army made the determination that this no longer was sufficient to be used against Western armor. It just would not work. So officially, production for the Russian military ended in 93. But it looks like the state facility that manufactured these did produce them for import, and they were still being sent to former Warsaw Pact countries. Now, countries that employ this currently is Russia, Ukraine, Bulgaria, Colombia, Croatia, Georgia, India, Iraq, Moldova, Peru, Syria, Transnistria, and Turkmenistan. Now, the nickname for this in the Russian military is the Netto, and they come 8 launchers per wooden crate. Now, some of the technicals on this: the rocket itself is around 72 millimeter in diameter. Some say it's 72, some say it's 73. It's like 72.5, so it could be 73 millimeter in diameter considered. Length of the launcher when it is in transport like this is 31 inches. Once it is fully extended, like in this picture, it is 33.5 inches. Weight is 6 pounds. Now, effective range on these is around 160 meters. It looks like they will go out to around 260 meters before they self-destruct. They do have a built-in self-destruct, which is supposed to go off between 3.5 and 8 seconds. My guess is that's around the 250, 260 meter range. Max effective range on this, though, is considered around 200 meters according to the U.S. military. Penetration capabilities of the PG-22 rocket here is 400 millimeters on Chobden armor, modern tank armor. On older non-composite armor, it can penetrate up to 100 or 480 millimeters if it hits it directly on at a 90-degree angle. These rockets can bust through 1.5 meters of brickwork and also 1 meter of concrete. The sights on these things are set for 50, 150, and 250 meters. And how you can tell on that, there'll be a 5, a 15, and a 25. That's tens of meters. Backblast on this goes back 30 meters from the rear of the launcher, and this is the rear here, in a 90-degree arc. So 45 degrees to either side. This can be fired from the prone, and it says the launcher needs to be a minimum of 8 inches above the ground when firing from the prone. This launcher cannot be fired from inside an enclosed space. Not a bunker, not a room, not a vehicle, because the back blast is just horrendous on this reportedly. This is not a recoilless rifle. This is a rocket launcher. There are notes that for the safety of the firer, they need to be a minimum of 2 meters away from any type of obstruction behind them, whether that's a vehicle or a wall or a side of a trench. Now, how to put this into operation? It's pretty simple. Go through, inspect the launcher, make sure it's not damaged. It can be used. If it can be used, you bring it with you. There is a shoulder strap on here. You can toss it over your shoulder. These are meant as a single person device, not meant for use with a team. It's just like with the Law Rocket. Here you go, troop. Take this with you for just in case you come across a bunker or you come across an armored vehicle during your ambush. To put this into operation, and I have pictures here of how to do it that I pulled from some of the videos that are out there on this. There are videos that were done by Ukrainians and Russians showing how to use this launcher, and I pulled some of the pictures from some of those videos. First thing you're going to do, you're going to take it off your shoulder. On the front of the launcher here, you're going to remove the safety pin. After you remove the safety pin, the front protective cap will flop down because it's spring-loaded. Grasp the front of the tube here and yank it open. That'll extend it out a few inches. Once you do that, the front sight will pop up spring-loaded like on an M72. You can see where to grasp on the launcher here when extending it out. At that point, on the top rail here, you got these little ribs. Grasp them, push back. As you push back, the rear cap will pop open. And that gets the system ready. You will then grasp the rear sight here, which is also the cocking lever. Grasp that with your hands. Raise it until it's full upright position. At that point, the launcher has been cocked and the trigger is uncovered. The trigger is a little red button here, which is underneath this person's finger. You sight in through the peep sight on back to the correct location on the front here. Press down on the red trigger, the rocket will fire. If you end up with a misfire, lower the rear sight, which decocks the system. Raise the rear sight again, which recocks it, and then try firing again. If it does not fire again, place it down on the ground facing the direction of the enemy, so if that rocket does go off because it's a hang fire, it'll still fire in the direction of the enemy. You then grab a replacement launcher, go through, prep it, get it up on your shoulder quickly. It only takes a max of 10 seconds, reportedly, according to Russian literature. Fire it on the target. Now, what if you do not use this launcher? The vehicle got away or some other situation happened. You no longer have to use this. First thing you're going to do is lower the rear sight to decock the system. You're going to raise up the rear protective cover and push it forward, which will push this rail back into position. Move to the front. Raise up the protective cover on here to in front of the tube. You're then going to use your fingers and lower the front sight back into position. Push back on the front of the launcher to reset everything. You're then going to replace the safety pin here on the front, and your launcher is now ready for transport, so that you can take it to your next position to reuse, or you can set it to the side of your position for if there's another alert that enemy troops are on the way. This launcher was produced in the millions. They're used in a lot of countries. This is one to be aware of. It's not effective against newer NATO armor, so like your Leopard 2s, your Challenger 2s, your M1 Abrams. It's not effective against that. It's effective against the older stuff. The Chieftains, the M60s, the Leopard 1s, that type of stuff. But these are still usable against infantry fighting vehicles and armored personnel carriers, and obviously enemy supply vehicles. And reportedly from Afghanistan, these were extremely effective when used against enemy dug-in fortifications like bunkers. If you could get this thing into that bunker slit or near it, it would take out that position. So there you go. The formerly Soviet, now Russian, RPG-22 NATO disposable light anti-tank weapon. This is a weapon you should be aware of how to use because they're out there. Any type of situation happens around the world now, a war of liberation, terrorists, or anything like that, you're probably going to see these getting employed. Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot Militia movements, always remember, essayons.